And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. www.galacticfriedchicken.com. You know the drill. They are closed until Friday. So they should be back and up to go Friday. And then I do believe we have some good news, Aaron, as with no bowl game, they won't be out of town during bowl season. So I think they're going to have a little bit more availability during the Christmas window as well. So you know the deal. Pump it up. Save 15% off of your order. GalacticFriedChicken.com. It's out of this world. Hi, Aaron.
What up?
How you doing?
I'm all right.
So it's a fairly busy day on campus. Not as busy as yesterday, which I don't know if I could have handled another back-to-back days like yesterday.
I mean, if it meant that Jamil was coming on board, I think you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have found the energy and the strength. But I will tell you this: after yesterday, I'm tired. I was tired today, but it's sometimes you gotta grind, Aaron. You gotta rise and grind, get it done. We got it done, and we were at press conferences for football with Scott Satterfield, Ryan Montgomery, and Jawan Briggs, and then Wes Miller. We will see where that takes us, and then with the week messed up and a couple Friday games, Black Friday games, we might try to squeeze in the Big 12 Week 13 final week of the regular season conversation here towards the back end of this. So let's do that. And Aaron, go.
So we'll start with football. That's what I'm going.
Nothing. I was just kidding.
What do you mean?
You paused, so I was giving you shit. It's fine.
I think there's a slight lag. Anyway.
Yeah.
Start with football, but Scott Satterfield, as we're getting to this last game of the season, said he recognized he didn't do anything well last week. I think everyone has recognized they didn't do anything well last week.
We agree.
And very quickly, he moved on to senior day. He did not seem to want to talk at all, really, about last week. I don't blame him.
Hey, if you watched the BBP last night, I forbade it. I would not allow it. I was having none of it, sir. We burned the tape. Yeah, I'm not talking about that shit.
He moved on to senior day. There's over 20 people who are going to be walking. So we'll see of those 20 who's still here next year, who's not, as things with those discussions he got to later on. But as for Kansas, he's expecting to see two different quarterbacks. Of course, Jason Bean and I believe, what's the other guy's name? Cole
Brennan or something like that. I don't know.
Colt Brennan is no longer a quarterback.
Well, it's something like that. I don't know.
If ESPN would get these advertisements out of my way.
Just talk here.
All right, fine.
Cole Ballard.
There it is. Thank you.
Cole Ballard.
Also said that we're obviously going to see Lichtenberg. I imagine you'll see Emery.
He did not say we'll see Lichtenberg. So, like, if he's healthy, if he can play, we'll see him. But he's got cracked ribs. He's got broken.
I missed that. I was listening 2 times speed and taking notes. So, but did say you could see Drogosh. He's not ruling it out. That was the important part of that. Obviously, tight end is very thin with Shaman being out, with Singletary being out.
Shaman being out, Joey Belgian being out. They're down to
out all year.
So the guy that's
Trevor Radosevich,
the guy that's probably going to start at tight end on Saturday, got his beginning in the recruiting department working for Patton Max. And then he decided he wanted to be a walk-on, and now he is going to start a game in the Big 12, probably.
Good on him. That'll be something he can tell his grandkids about.
It's Michael McCallum that had a great camp.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned he had a good camp.
Great. For a guy in his position, he had a great camp. He was catching touchdowns, it felt like, every day. So, awesome for him.
Satterfield is also frustrated that guys on scholarship around the country, not just here in Cincinnati, are ending their own seasons before the season is officially over. He's very much an old school type coach, and so it's not at all a surprise that he's not going to be keen on guys walking away from the team before the season's over, especially when he's got guys, as he mentioned, on the practice squad who give everything they have every single day. You're essentially walking out on the seniors that you have played behind. So I understand.
It's a lot more complicated than
I understand, but it
but
is
also from a player's perspective. If you've already made the decision and there's NIL on the line, and you go out and you play that final game and you get hurt, how much money do you cost yourself? Like, I'm not saying I agree that that's the right mindset to have, but I'm telling you, now that the door is open, these are conversations that have to be had. That guys, and obviously not a lot of guys have made that decision. Like we've talked about, a lot of those decisions are going to be made next week. Shaman had made his decision that he wasn't going to be back.
It's decisions that you see also being made for guys that are playing in bowl games that have NFL draft on their mind. You'll see guys sitting out for those reasons. So it's not just I'm in no way, shape, or form trying to single out Shaman. There's a million different reasons for a million different people sitting out. But Coach just mentioned his frustration.
It sucks. Yeah, it sucks. It's frustrating.
Like, as a coach, you
1,000%. As a fan, it's frustrating. It's somebody around sports. It's frustrating. But guess what?
Just
when money is introduced, things change.
He also mentioned that he is much more ready for the portal now that staff is in place this year. I think that you will see, honestly, a version 2.0 of what we saw last year. I think everything is going to be different based on just having a staff in place, simply having a staff in place. And
the three main guys didn't get here until after the first of the year, really.
Yeah.
So, and that was, the portal was about, like pretty much done at that point.
Almost over. Right.
Yeah. Like as they got everything in place, they did as much as they could. But I think personally, Jack and Zach and Cass and Connor and Joe and that whole group are going to prove to be really good at roster construction, roster management. You can't, I've seen a lot of harsh judgments on that group lately. Let them cook a little bit. Let them work. Let them figure things out. And I think when we look back and judge them, it will be favorably over the long term.
And then he's going to be meeting with everyone. I think he wants to have it finalized, I believe he said by next Wednesday, to figure out essentially what this roster is going to look like going forward, where the holes are going to be, who's staying, who's leaving, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That's generally how it works. You take a couple days they'll have Sunday off. They'll start meetings on Monday and Tuesday, and the hope is they have decisions by Wednesday.
So that's all I had on Sat. He did go into a lot more detail on the transfer portal and how he's going to be essentially reconfiguring this team via the transfer portal this season, without getting into I think he talked on it for about, 5 minutes of his 22 or so. So I'm not going to get into all those details, but in any case, if you have interest in that, you can go back and watch his presser on the Bearcat Journal page. Moving on to Monty. Senior day meaning a lot to him, as he's been in this program, gone through a lot of injuries through this program. The program never gave up on him. He's always been a guy who has produced when he's been out on the field. It's been just a matter of being on the field for him. He did say he could be coming back, as he'll be going back to get his master's degree, though.
No, he said he's about to complete his master's degree.
Oh,
I don't think he can come back.
Well, I didn't know if he was going to be coming back in some type of coaching capacity, or maybe I misheard him. I thought he said he was going to be coming back as he was going to get his master's degree.
My understanding is that he's pretty close. So, Maybe it's just a matter of like he gets it in the spring. You know what I mean? Whatever.
I don't think he'll be shy to be back around this program, though.
No.
At all.
Like I talked about, man, he had a tough situation because when you talk about a knee getting destroyed, his knee got destroyed his senior year in high school. And he was the 4-star recruit. He was the guy that a lot of people wanted. And as word got out about the injury, everybody kind of backed off in a big way. Kudos to the Cincinnati staff who said, no, we're here for you, man. Like, commit. We'll get you through it. You can gray shirt. We'll do da-da-da-da-da and help you out in this way and that way along the way. And to have fought through that and have had the success that he's had has been pretty cool.
He's become such a leader on this team too. Just the way he carries himself has been phenomenal.
It would have been so easy for that kid to just be like, I'm good. Like, I'm not doing this anymore to my body.
Yeah. Even going through injuries this year at any point. Yeah. And he still has fought back every single time. He said it's special to finish up during a nip at night, and did want to say to anybody who cared to listen that the grass is not always greener in the portal and that many people don't find a home. So just something to keep in mind if you are somebody who is thinking about entering the portal. Moving on to Juwan Briggs. He said he is super thankful that Cincinnati welcomed him back home with open arms. He did say that you have to make sure your credits are going to transfer if you are looking at your graduation path, something that I'm sure a lot of people don't think about as they are entering the transfer portal and trying to find that new home. He's also
basically said if he wanted to have followed the path that he was on at Virginia and transfer those credits and do it at Cincinnati, he would have had to have taken both years over, essentially. That's wild.
Yep. He said he is also thankful about finishing during nip at night. And of course he wants to make the NFL, but he's going to be happy either way it goes, knowing he put his best foot forward every day. Maybe the most humble dude who's come through here in a long time. And there's certainly been some humble dudes.
Just intelligent, like a dude that there's not going to be any concern about
him landing on his feet.
What happened to Juwan Briggs in life?
Right.
He's your boss.
Super dad.
Yeah, he's super dad, and now he owns the company you work for. Like that dude's got it, man.
Then Wes Miller, he had his presser today talking about Georgia Tech. He talked, I think, of his 16 minutes or so. I think he talked Georgia Tech for roughly about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. The rest, of course, was Aziz-dominated conversation.
Remember,
not a surprise.
I was the only guy in the room that was privy to that 50-minute masterpiece from last night. So.
Sure. He did mention he's happy for Aziz. He ran through his thank yous to the staff, to David Yost, to the NCAA. He said the big thing that he continued to answer with is this is not going to be plug and play with Aziz. This is going to be
it's gonna take time.
The team's adjusted itself over the course of 4 games. You're going to have to adjust to having Aziz in the rotation. But the biggest thing that is, the biggest takeaway for having him on the team now is just the depth that you have now at the 5 spot. And again, kind of one thing that we talked about last night was just how much more aggressive you can be both offensively and defensively, knowing that instead of playing with 10 fouls, now you're playing with 15 fouls.
Yeah, and I think a fascinating part of that, which isn't how people think about it, it's not that you have to be aggressive. It's that you don't have to be passive, right? Yeah. I think it's almost worse to just like tell your guys like, look, man, foul trouble can't happen. Like you guys have to both we got 2 guys and you both have to get to halftime with 1 foul. And if there's more than that, we're in deep shit. Like
pretty much
the ability to not be passive, I think is just as important as being openly, like forwardly aggressive.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to phrase it. You don't necessarily have to be aggressive, and it gives you that ability.
They will be. Yeah, but I think what I'm saying, I'm not saying they won't be. What I'm saying is it's almost as important that you don't have to spend long stretches being passive because it's just not you can win that way, but boy, it makes it a lot harder.
And the only things I took away from Georgia Tech, outside of Damon Stoudemire being Mighty Mouse being their head coach, is that Georgia Tech has good offensive rebounding and they are deep at wing. That was all I really took away.
About it. They're not very good. I mean, I think Stoudemire is going to have a lot of success there. They're not there yet. Now, could they come in here and get hot and give UC problems? Yeah, sure. But they're a ways away from being, upper half like ACC team or whatever. I do think there's a good chance. You're in Atlanta. There's a shit ton of talent in Atlanta. And he's Damon freaking Stoudemire.
He is that.
You know how many dads he's going to go into their living room, so they're going to be like, there he is.
But those dads are going to be the same ones that are excited. Like, they're going to be telling their friends, I'm taller than an NBA player.
But yeah, it'll be interesting tomorrow night. And plus, man, it's hard to read those. You're playing the night before Thanksgiving. What's the read of the team? I would imagine tomorrow UC is going to be pretty excited just with Aziz debuting and the team playing pretty well, but those holiday games always get kind of tough because guys kind of might be looking forward to a day or two off, or your mind might be a little elsewhere. So it should be interesting.
Anything else?
No, I think we'll save the Big 12 thing for tomorrow night. Maybe we'll do it during. I think what's going to happen tomorrow night. I think Dave and I are going to do a BCJ pod at 10:30, 11.
Okay.
So, and we could even just do a combo nightcap BCJ pod tomorrow that encompasses the Big 12 look ahead, and we're going to have a high, 2 Power 5 teams are playing tomorrow at 7. So we're going to have to talk about that, expansively, but I think we'll also try to get into some of that other stuff. It's going to be probably an somewhat abbreviated version, but we're going to try to squeeze in as much as we can.
Real quick then, just wanted to run through some of these in the basketball world. On Sunday, Kansas State drops one to Miami Hurricanes, 91-83. Texas beats Louisville 81-80. And Houston beats Dayton 69-55. On Monday, UConn beat Texas 81-71. And those are really the only games of note. And then tonight at 10:30, Kansas and Marquette tip off in the
number
Maui
1 versus number 4. Purdue and Tennessee is on right now. The Maui semis have 4 of the 10 top 10 teams.
It's well done on whoever scheduled that far out.
Yeah,
you get a pat on the back.
Number 1, number 3, number 4, and number 7. So I'm gonna get out of here. Watch you. I'll have you and George on in the background, and I'm gonna watch some hoops. So that's gonna wrap it up. We will see everybody tomorrow night. Like I said, we're gonna go live when I get home from Fifth Third Arena, so probably 10:30 ish, and we'll go from there. That's the nightcap. Thanks to everybody that watched the BBP last night. That was awesome, and we'll see you tomorrow. This is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.